never believe who I have on this week's episode of Alexify, the Place for Fashion podcast. She's a sustainable fashion advocate who is also a fellow Remake ambassador. Hello, Erin Smith. It's so nice to meet you.
Hi, Lexi. It's so nice to meet you too. I'm so excited to be your guest on today's podcast.
I am so excited that you're here.
Yeah, I know. I've been following you now for a little while, and I was like looking at all of your content from New York Fashion Week, and I'm just obsessed, honestly. So I'm excited
You're the sweetest.
and what you do and your views all about like sustainability and fashion.
Thank you. You're the best. I'm so excited. So for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so like you already mentioned, my name is Erin, and currently I'm living in Toronto, Canada. I've been living now in Toronto for the past year, and I absolutely love the city atmosphere, just the hustle and bustle. You know, there's always something going on, and there's just so many opportunities here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it had always been my dream to move to Toronto to pursue a career in modeling, actually, to explore more opportunities. But as of right now, I'm kind of just working full time as an optical assistant, modeling part time. I'm nannying, and I'm also working for Remake as a community organizer for the country of Canada, and more specifically the eastern side of Canada. So wearing a lot of different hats at the moment, just kind of seeing what it is that interests me, what I'm passionate about, and just, having fun.
That is so amazing. So how did you first originally get into sustainability?
Well, I mean, I've been thrifting for as long as I can
Mm-hmm.
remember. My aunt used to take both my cousin and I when we were really, really little. And I remember we would try on like prom dresses and ball gowns and put on high heels. And we would just pretend that the aisles were our runway. And we'd get so many looks and people would, like clap for us and applaud for us. Yeah, it was the cutest thing. And then I feel like as a model, I used to go to the thrift store all the time to try to find shoes because your casting attire usually consists of like black bottoms with a white top,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you're modeling, you can kind of have some more fun with your shoes. So I used to go and try to find different like unique looking pairs of high heels for when I was going for castings. But I actually was really kind of embarrassed at first to like mention that I went thrifting. And if somebody ever asked me where I bought something that was secondhand, I usually would like lie and tell them that I never actually purchased it from a secondhand store or a thrift store, just because there was like a stigma back then that shopping secondhand was dirty or that it was cheap. And now it's like the total rave.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person I talk to, for the most part, is at least interested in thrifting or understands the benefits that come with it, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I've been like a part of Remake for over a year, I find that I've become sustainable in all aspects of my life too. So like being cognizant of what food I'm eating, the makeup that I buy, the products I use on my skin. It's much more than where you buy your clothes. I feel like it's a whole lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always easy. It's definitely a journey, but it's important to be patient with ourselves because it is such like a learning curve. And sometimes the information that's available to us is not always accurate. So
Yeah. I love that. I feel like when you mentioned that you used to try on things at the thrift store and everyone would clap, like what a main character moment in a movie. Like I can literally like picture you trying on the prom dresses and stuff like that. I remember one of the first like sustainable videos that I posted was me trying on, I went to like Goodwill and I tried to go sift through everything and find like Halloween costumes that resembled like certain characters in movies and stuff like that. And I remember like I was trying on all of them and like I would come out of the dressing room and I was like, oh my God, like I'm being like Serena Vanderwoodson and I'm being this and I'm being that. And it was so funny. And so I love that, like you said, that you kind of had the same moment. Like I love that. And I completely remember when like thrifting was just like not it. And it's so crazy now because like thrifting is like I feel like one of the biggest Gen Z trends, like when you think of like the fashion industry and trends that are happening amongst like Gen Z, like that's like thrifting is one of the biggest ones. Um, I also feel like sadly fast fashion is one of the biggest ones. So it's like a bit of both on that side. But I love that it is kind of like trend now because it pushes more people to go do it. I just hope that it stays like something that's relevant in people's lives. But I love that, and I love your journey. I feel like um mine was kind of similar in a way where like I started with thrifting, and then I learned more about how, you know, fast fashion and like just the fashion industry in general can be so harmful to our planet and to the people that are a part of it. So thrifting definitely like kicked off my jump started my sustainability kick. But yeah, so what are some things you mentioned thrifting? What are some other things, or what tips could you give people that are looking to become more sustainable or just start somewhere? Because you did mention like it is a big transition. What are some tips that you could give people to kind of like start that transition?
Yeah, I would say my biggest piece of advice would be to just try to live more minimally.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like one of the biggest issues that we're facing right now is just like mass overconsumption of goods,
Mm-hmm.
feeling the need to always have like the latest thing, the urge to like constantly be buying and buying more. I feel like since we live in more of a
Mm-hmm.
capitalistic society, we shouldn't be putting all the blame on ourselves. You know, like big corporations, they have us brainwashed into thinking that in order to fit into our surroundings, we constantly need to be ahead of the trends. And I feel like with mass advertising and social media, it's so easy to compare ourselves to other people,
Mm-hmm.
what they're doing, what it is that they're wearing, and what it is that they're buying. So I would say like trying to stay true to yourself and your own values. Trying not to get persuaded by what you see on the internet. So even if that means like going through your social media and doing like a cleanse,
Mm-hmm.
unfollowing all of the people that are promoting like greenwashing, or people that just whose values don't really align with yours or make you feel worse about yourself. Because there were times where I would go onto social media and I would be scrolling through, and then I would exit out of the app, and I just felt really horrible about myself,
Mm-hmm.
that I wasn't living this sort of lifestyle, or that I didn't have what other people had. So yeah, like I said, try not to compare yourself to other people is really, really important. And I think just by starting small and thinking about what it is that you can do on an individual level to make an impact is a good start. Even just like some of the small habits that we don't always think about, for example, like driving less and maybe taking public transportation, or shopping locally, and like what's in season in terms of like fruits and veggies, as well as just like even taking shorter showers too to
Mm-hmm.
conserve water is all really important. So
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that um one of the like biggest things with sustainability is kind of like there's a twinge of guilt there because you're like, am I doing enough? Like, oh no, like I bought this and it came in a plastic bottle instead of like a something else bottle. And you just have to remember that like it is about like the effort. It's about like the little steps that you can take to become and to make the world a better place. And um as long as you are like taking those first steps and like making a difference and being mindful of like the waste that you're producing or how much water you're using, and stuff like that, it does make a difference. Obviously, if everyone could be absolutely perfect when it comes to sustainability, that would be amazing, but we're human and that's not going to happen. So but yeah, I love those tips, and I always say like if you literally just like, instead of, if you want that top from Shein that one time, just look at the thrift store instead that one time. And that, I feel like so many people don't realize that, like, I forget exactly what the year was, but I'm pretty sure it was like 1950 or something like that. We could have stopped making like clothes by then and we would have been fine. Like everyone would have had enough clothes. And then we kept making clothes. And then not only did we keep making them, but we made them at a faster pace. And currently we're making them at like an insanely quick, it's so insane how fast like the trend happens and then immediately the clothes are out there. And then the trend's over and immediately all of those clothes are like done and going to a landfill. And so um I think it's just crazy that like so many people don't realize like that there is stuff out there already. And if you just go to a thrift store instead and like extend the end life of a garment, that is so helpful, because then it's not going to a landfill. And it's just crazy that we could have literally stopped making clothes like all the way back then, and then we didn't do that and we kept making it. But what I was saying earlier, there's no blame like that if you don't know that we could, if that like you can stop buying new, and like, or if you could stop buying new, there's no blame about like not knowing. I just think that, people need to like, another one of the first steps that you can take is like just educating yourself on how harmful the fashion industry is. And I think that that's so important, to educate yourself and then educate others. But I love your tips. Amazing tips. So you said that you became a Remake ambassador a little bit over a year ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, it would have been back in February of 2021, right?
Okay,
As I was like moving to Toronto.
amazing. And so how did you find Remake? How did you hear about them?
It was through like a modeling panel, all
Hmm.
about like empowering women and not being taken advantage of in the modeling industry.
Hmm.
One of the women that was speaking on the topic mentioned Remake, and I went on to their website, I followed their Instagram, and I knew like right away that that was something that I wanted to be a part of.
Hmm.
And I honestly can say it's been like the best decision I've ever made to join the Remake team. It's honestly really helped me to discover like a sense of community, especially during the middle of a pandemic where it was so difficult to really get out there and meet new people and put yourself out in different
Hmm.
situations. Um, and I've finally found something that like lights a fire under my butt to really give back and help those in
Hmm.
need, which is amazing. And it's just like everyone a part of the team is so inspirational, empowering, and we're all fighting for the same cause, which is good because it can feel like a really big fight or a really big challenge that we're just, a small fish in a really, really big pond. Like what it is that we're doing, like is not worth it sometimes
Hmm.
because we're not seeing like immediate results. But as a team, it can become a lot more, I don't know, um, just like empowering to know
Hmm.
that you're not alone in the fight. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So can you tell the listeners kind of a little bit about what Remake is, and what we do, and like what we talk about in our meetings and stuff like that?
So Remake is an advocacy pause. Remake is an advocacy organization whose goal is to turn fashion into a force for good through education, leadership, development, and transparency. So we are a community of designers, feminists, storytellers, all around fashion lovers who believe that fashion can be a force for good. So we're using our purchasing power, our voice, our creativity to make the invisible women who power the fashion industry visible, committed to breaking up with fast fashion, have taken the pledge to buy better, remaking our closet with clothes that respect women and our planet. So technically the kind of work that I do as a community organizer is the same as what an ambassador does, but I kind of have the responsibility of overseeing a team of ambassadors within like my area, helping them to plan events. I run meetings, I speak on behalf of Remake, and just kind of being like that middle person for ambassadors to the official team at Remake.
Amazing. And so you mentioned that with Remake, you're going to New York in April. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So it was very like unexpected. Refashion Week is happening the first week of April, and I believe it's going to be a bunch of runway shows happening throughout the week, promoting secondhand, vintage, upcycling brands and designers. So as of right now, I believe the kickoff of the events are starting on the 2nd. And there's going to be a house that a lot of the community organizers and some of the remake team are going to be staying in while we're there. And yeah, it's going to be full of different markets and discussions and panels all around sustainability. And it's going to be nice to finally meet everyone in person and just like connect on a deeper level and really just be in the same space with one another. It's going to be like, honestly, probably one of the most exciting things that I have looking forward to for the year.
Oh my God, that is so, so, so exciting. Yeah, we were talking about this, but I just went to New York Fashion Week and I was able to see a bunch of sustainable designers, which was amazing. I remember last year, actually, I wrote a whole blog post about how there was a lack of sustainability at New York Fashion Week last year. And so it was really great to be able to see like the change and how there were like a lot of sustainable designers featured this year. I actually went to a private showing of Timbago, which is a sustainable streetwear brand. And it was just so, so, so cool to see. And I just love like the representative we're seeing in sustainable designers because we need to see more of that. But I'm so excited for you. And that's going to be so, so, so fun. I'm like, maybe I'll go. Maybe I'll try to figure out a way to go. Maybe we can meet. So getting more into brands themselves, what are some sustainable fashion brands that you shop at? I feel like this is a question I get a lot. And honestly, most of the time I just answer it with, well, I just go to the thrift store or Depop. But there are some sustainable brands that I do also like absolutely love. Like I love shopping from Nuuly because you're able to rent a piece of clothing for a month, and then it's really great for big events if you only need one dress for like a big event. But it's also great to just like try out new styles and stuff like that. So what are some sustainable brands that you really like?
Honestly, I'm kind of in the same boat as you are. If somebody asks me a sustainable brand, I usually will direct them to secondhand and thrifting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's just something about like going through racks upon racks
Love
and
it.
like out such a unique item that you can't find anywhere else. And everything has a story, right? Like everything has already most likely been worn by somebody else. So just rewriting that story, and if that means like repurposing it or adding, different details to it or DIYing it a little bit. I feel like that's a lot of the fun that comes with thrift shopping and buying secondhand.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking for more sustainable, ethical clothing brands, I would recommend going onto the Remake website, honestly, and using the brand directory, their fashion accountability report, and seeing what kind of brands are on there, which ones score high, and which ones are being transparent about where it is that they're sourcing their materials from, how much their workers are being paid,
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of stuff. There's so much information on there, and I know it can seem kind of overwhelming at first, but it's nice that it's all in one space, on one site, and you can just kind of search which brands you're interested in, and then you can see how they score. So that's my tip.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever there's like a dress that I like, or I see someone on TikTok like wearing something, and I go to the comments or I see their caption and I'm like, oh, like where's that from? And it's from some brand I've never heard of. I like go and look it up and I'm like, how did they score? Can I buy this dress or not? But I love just like always being, I feel like it's such like a subtle flex to be like someone asking you like, oh, where's your outfit from, or where's this piece from, and you're like, it's thrifted. Because it's like it's something that like only you or a few rare people like have. But then also I feel like thrifting really helps you kind of stay away from major trends if I just because when you walk into a store like Zara, it's all geared towards the trends that are currently happening. But when you walk into a thrift store, there's no one set trend and no, it's just like a random mix of like everything of these random pieces. And I feel like it really helps you to find your own personal style rather than just following the trends, which is another way of being like more sustainable, finding pieces that, you know, like will last you forever rather than just buying something because it's currently on trend. And so I feel like honestly thrifting has like made me more confident in like my style, because when you go there, you're really picking things that you genuinely enjoy rather than just picking something because it's currently on trend. And so I'll find a piece and I'm like, oh my God, like this is insane, but I'm like obsessed with it. And then it's helped me to like really kind of, I feel like, build like the wardrobe that I always wished I had, because I just have like so many fun thrifted funky pieces that I'm only going to find once in my lifetime at the thrift store. So I just always, I literally love thrifting. When I haven't gone for like a certain amount of time, I'm like, I'm anxious. Like it's like such a stress reliever for me, like going through all of the racks. I remember one time I was on the phone with my mom and she goes, "What's that sound in the background?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm thrifting." And she was like, "I literally could hear you going so fast through all of the racks." And I was like, "Yeah, it's like so therapeutic for me. I love sifting through everything and finding the best things." So just go thrifting, everyone. Go do it. It's amazing. So more on like the, I guess, negative side of things now, what brands do you 100% steer clear from because they're not sustainable, or you know that they have like not the best values?
Well, obviously you have your like ultra fast fashion brands like Shein and like Fashion Nova, which I
Mm-hmm.
stay clear from. I don't understand how like you can buy a shirt for the same price as like a cup of coffee. That doesn't
Mm-hmm.
make any sense to me. But as of right now, actually, Remake is running a campaign called the Worst Wage Theft. So, a little bit more about that. Since April of 2020, over 400,000 garment workers um, in pause. I have to figure out how to say this properly. What is it? How do you pronounce it? Karnatuka?
I I'm not sure. Carnage.
I'm gonna see how to pronounce it
Yeah.
properly.
Karnataka.
Oh, Karnataka.
Karnataka.
Okay, where should I start from?
Um, just beginning of the answer.
Okay, so brands that I try to stay clear from are like the ultra fast fashion brands like Shein and Fashion Nova. But right now, Remake is running a campaign called the Worst Wage Theft. So since April of 2020, 400,000 garment makers in Karnataka, which is the biggest garment producing region in India, and where big brands like H&M, Zara, American Eagle, and Abercrombie and Finch manufacture their clothes, have been robbed of their minimum wage increase, amounting to nearly 60 million in stolen wages.
Wow.
It's the biggest instance of wage theft in fashion history. One of the largest factory groups in the region is actually right there, and they finally agreed to paying $10 million to workers in recent weeks, but it's not quite enough. We need to keep pushing, and there are hundreds of thousands of workers in many other factories who are still waiting on their back pay. So honestly, I would say like with greenwashing now, it's really, really hard to decipher which brands are
Mm-hmm.
right by the planet and their people, or the people of the planet, I should say. So just like taking that extra time to research a brand
Mm-hmm.
on their website, and just trying to see like how transparent a brand is, and um, just yeah, like there's so much information out there, so it's hard, especially if you don't have like a super fashion background.
Mm-hmm.
But with the brand directory and things like that, um, there's resources and there's tools out there to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like H&M, Zara, American Eagle, Abercrombie and Finch, kind of like any of the mainstream stores in the
Yeah.
Any of the stores that you can
I
go
would,
at the mall, I say.
yeah, I definitely just suggest doing your research before, if that's what, if sustainability is something that's on your mind and you're looking to, shop more sustainably. I feel like just steering clear and making sure you're doing some research before you buy something from a brand is like just really important to do. But yeah, me too. Steering, I feel like literally if you just look at my closet, it's like 99% of it's thrifted. And if it's not, it's from like a fast fashion brand in middle school that I just never got rid of and still happened to be able to fit into and hasn't for some reason gotten messed up. Because I do feel like when I buy from fast fashion, a lot of the time they have like holes in them now and stuff like that, because they're not really produced well, because yeah, anyways, we all know. But yeah, I feel like literally like 99% of my stuff is thrifted or a sustainable brand. And so I like to steer clear from, I feel like, shopping new in general, and just always trying to, for the most part, shop secondhand, and just extending that end life of those garments. I feel like that's the best way to shop sustainably, is shop what's already out there and not buy new from fast fashion brands. So just do your research before you buy something. So that's a any in any means, like just educating yourself before. It's very beneficial. Anyways, but with that, so I feel like a stigma with the like shopping sustainably is that a lot of the time it's really expensive. um can we touch on that and maybe talk about is it always expensive, and or if it's expensive, is it worth it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say like no. Being sustainable doesn't always have to be more expensive. Like obviously, when you're secondhand shopping, you can find treasures and unique items that you couldn't find anywhere else for a fraction of the price.
Mhm.
Right? In terms of like brands that sell ethical, local, small batch production, they may be more expensive like upfront, but you're paying, I would say, for the quality versus
Mhm.
quantity. Um, you have to think about like these items are uh, supposed to last years in your wardrobe, and if they're cared for properly and they're treated with respect, which they should be, then they'll last a long time. And I think that it makes it worthwhile. And I think sometimes we forget just like how intricate the process of making a garment is. It's
Mhm.
actual high skilled work. I don't know if you've ever tried like sewing or mending anything before.
Mhm.
Like it takes serious practice and concentration, precision. I've never even attempted it before. I always usually like take my item or my garment that's has a rip, or maybe the zipper is broken, to a tailor or repair store to
Mhm.
mend it for me. But I feel like if people were just like more aware of the time and the energy that goes into making our clothes, they would be more inclined to pay more. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, I feel like our generation has become more disconnected to the amount of labor that actually goes into producing our clothes. So that is always, I think, one of the statements that somebody makes if they're unsure of like sustainability, or not even so unsure of sustainability. They just like they want to start shopping there, or like they want to start shopping sustainably, but one of their cons, I guess, about it is that it's more expensive, which it doesn't always have to be.
Mhm. No, yeah, definitely. And I think that if you are buying from a sustainable brand, I think you probably will recognize that yes, the prices are a little higher, but that's because they're paying the people who are making it the correct amount, and you're paying for quality over quantity. And like that is something, if you buy a white t-shirt from a sustainable brand, you most likely will have that white t-shirt for like the rest of your life, because it will be able to like stay together, because it's made correctly, and it was made with good fabrics, and it was made it was taken time on, and the people working on it were hopefully, yes, because big part of sustainability is not just the planet, but the people. So the people making it were also in correct environments and not in a sweatshop and not 8 years old, you know, they're like people who they're getting paid right and all of that stuff. And so I feel like if you're buying it from a sustainable brand specifically, yes, prices may be more on the higher side, but like we have been talking about, if you I'm a broke college student and I shop sustainably and I do so by thrifting. And if you're gonna buy like a $4 shirt from Shein, well, you might as well just buy a $4 shirt from the thrift store instead. So is there anything else that you'd like to kind of tell the listeners, whether it's about Remake or sustainability in general?
What else would I like to tell the listeners? I don't know. I think that, like I said before, like I really hope that sustainability isn't just a trend.
Mm-hmm.
I really do think that that's where fashion is headed. Like the companies and the corporations that don't get behind, producing clothes ethically and sustainably are going to be left kind of,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be left behind because we are becoming a lot more like educated and we are becoming a lot more aware of the negative impacts that come with like fast fashion. And I mean, our world is so like connected nowadays, you know what I mean? Like on a global scale, we're really able to connect and we're really able to like with the news now, like we can literally see what's happening all over the world at any time.
Mm-hmm.
So these stories about, companies ending contracts and workers being not paid their proper wages is coming to the forefront, and it's just like it can't be hidden anymore. So I think that sustainability is definitely where we're headed. It's not going to be. It's just kind of like there's no excuse anymore. Like that's just kind of what has to be done. And if we want our planet to remain, if we want future generations to be able to prosper, like we don't have a choice. We're at the tipping point right now.
Yeah, no, it's good that it's seen more because it is a trend, I guess, right now, the like whole sustainability movement. But as long as it doesn't, like, it's good that it's a trend, but it shouldn't be necessarily like the word trend. Like it needs to stay in the forefront of all of our discussions and minds. And it literally, like, we need to focus on our planet. There's going to be a point where we can't go back anymore. And if we're going to like make these changes, we need to make them now. And I just like, I hope that, I know that, Gen Z and millennials have the biggest buying power. And I love that, we're doing what we can to educate ourselves, and that, the values that we have, we're expecting to see them in brands. So I completely agree with you that like, if you're not doing that, you're going to be left in the dust, and rightfully so. You shouldn't be, not paying people what they should be making and putting them in terrible conditions, but then also making things so fast and having a ton of the inventory just going to landfill. So brands need to make the change. And yes, a lot of it has to do with the shopper and the consumer, and not buying from fast fashion brands and taking care of your pieces and maybe not washing them as much, so that the microplastics are getting into the oceans and our pieces are staying together. But it also really has to do with the brands. And I would probably say even more so, if brands are providing us with a sustainable option, then consumers have like no choice but to shop it sustainably. So I hope to see more change in fast fashion brands, and real change, not greenwashing, in the future. And I'm excited for that.
So am I.
Yay. Well, where can people find you on social media?
Mainly, I guess, through Instagram. My @ is just my first name, last name, Erin Smith, and then XOXO at the end.
So cute.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead, follow me there. I post a lot of content around sustainability. Also, like I said, I model, so I like to post behind the scenes of different photo shoots, and that's another thing. Quickly, I'll just add, like, as a model, I try to only promote and I only try to work with clients and companies who, again, are aware of sustainability and they want to make sure that their products are doing right to, by the planet and to its people. So trying not to advertise for brands that don't necessarily care, or just leave it at that.
Amazing. I love that. And I respect you so much for that. Well, everyone, make sure you go follow Erin on all of her socials. And while you're at it, you can follow me. My Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube are all at Lexi Silverstein. That's Lexy, silver like the color, Stein. And remember to make the ordinary extraordinary.